Captain, maybe we ought to turn on the searchlights now.
No. It's just what they'll be expecting us to do.
Hello, and welcome to episode 67 of Dots, Lines, and Destinations. It's November 20th, 2014. This week, we're talking about launching a veteran, finding some creativity in loyalty programs, and maybe buying a virgin. Hey, guys, how's it going?
It's going pretty well, Seth. That was good. I like that.
It's industry-leading intro.
Yeah, I'm one of the most professional men and women in the industry. What can I say?
He definitely like did that on the spot and very like smooth. It was very smooth.
And definitely caught you guys off guard with my little buy a virgin comment, huh? Come on, that's a fun one.
It was good. I liked it.
So, did you buy a virgin this week? Did you buy any? Did you get in?
I did not get in.
For those curious, we're talking about Virgin America's IPO. It actually priced on Friday the 14th.
Yep.
So they've been trading by the time this comes out for a week. We're recording this over the weekend, so we have no idea what it'll do this coming week, but it was up nicely on day one of trading.
Yeah, I mean, what's it up to now? Is it? It was initially offered at what, $23 or something a share? Is that what it hit the market with?
Well, it opened at 23, but that's the thing about IPOs. So when they price them, they don't ever come out at the actual price that they price. I mean, it's almost like it's supposed to be priced to go up.
Right. It priced at 23. The first trade was around 26.50, and it closed, I think, a tick over 30, maybe. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, it was about 30. I think 30 is what it closed at.
So is it still a buy? I mean,
Kramer doesn't think so.
And I actually agree on something that worries me.
Go
ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, we kind of knocked on Virgin a little bit on this show. And so to see an IPO the IPO seemed to do well. We'll have to see what the next week of trading is, but I don't know. I mean, are we off base here? I still don't see the profitability in Virgin America that other people see.
Well, I think. Sorry, sir.
No, go ahead.
From what I know about the IPO, and there's also all sorts of filings they have, and I believe one of the share hedge funds that has a stake is issuing. I don't know if there are other types of shares, like common shares or something. So they're basically trying to get money back to repay their debt. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about this too. We don't really know the viability of it. I mean, didn't they extend their 50% off first sale or something like that as well?
Or did they extend it?
Yeah, I think it went on for a few more days. So
yeah, I mean, so a big thing about the IPO is it was basically, a capitalization ploy, but it was in a lot of ways was just pushing money back to the original investors. Right? This was the cashing in for those investors. So it's more about that and less about raising new capital in a lot of ways. And they were profitable the first 9 months of this year. I think they were at about $54 million in profitability, which is, nothing to sneeze at. It's an airline business is a hard business, and they're a niche competitor that's having trouble breaking in and sort of, really attracting high revenue. But we're also in a situation right now where if you can't make money as an airline in the industry right now, you're in big trouble because fares are high, costs are coming down for fuel. Right now it's sort of the easy time to be an airline in many ways, at least in the U.S. Like there's less competition, so there's less, fare pressures and things like that. And I'm not surprised that they are able to make some money based on where they are right now. They're still not making a lot. And if, fuel costs go back up or anything else changes, they're going to have some potential challenges there.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's scary because they are becoming a big player when you look at them, right? They're at what, 53 planes or something like that. I think they have all A320s. I don't think they have A319s. So
they have both.
They have both. Okay.
Yep, and they've got 10 planes to come in over the next 12 to 18 months or so.
So, I mean, do you think that they have brought down fares in any markets? I mean, have they helped control costs anywhere for the traveler, or are they flying markets that are already highly priced and they're barely hitting those markets and making a dent in the price?
Well, when they came into Philadelphia and launched nonstop service back to San Francisco there, one-way ticket prices came down, refundable ticket prices came down, and I think probably at the very bottom end there were a few sales here and there that made, sort of vacation traveler excursion fares somewhat more reasonable. And then as soon as
that's kind of my point.
Yeah, and then when they left, though,
they pulled out
fares went back up. They pulled out of Philly to move planes.
Philly, not long after, right?
They were there for a little while. They pulled out, I think, to put the planes down in Dallas.
Oh, gotcha.
Which is just still to me is one of the more bizarre business moves I've seen in a long time. But hey.
Yeah, I mean, I guess where I'm going is if they were to go under, or if something was bad to happen, let's say jet fuel goes back up, and Virgin started faltering, the impact on the market would be significant, right?
Significant's a fun word.
Vague yet fun.
Vague. Yeah, no, I don't know that it would be all that significant.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
Yeah,
I'm trying to.
and they're not trying to be a traditional low cost carrier, right? They want to be a premium market carrier. They've got a first class cabin, and it's 3 generations old, but they've got it, and they try to sell and be the cool, hip, fun place to be, not the cheap place to be. So, the part where they think their target market is business travelers and they can't get any of them, or not many of them, is an awkward challenge, but that's where they're at.
Yep.
So
They did turn a profit, though.
right.
They changed from a loss to a profit, which I was surprised when I read that.
Yeah, no, the last few quarters have definitely looked up for them. The last few quarters for the entire industry have been tremendous. So it's, like I said, it's hard. This is sort of a time of the cycle where it's hard not to make money as an airline in many ways, it would seem. So I don't know. There's some interesting challenges there, right? If they can do well now, but how will they do if there are challenges? If things get worse, if things get harder, and maybe they got lucky and rode out the tough times, hit the market now, and got a couple $100 million in cash to start playing with, and they'll see better times ahead. But when the transcon markets are, JetBlue came out and said transcon markets were money losers for them until they added Mint, and now that they've got Mint, it's no longer a money losing route for them. It's actually a money making route for them. The Virgin America first class cabin is legitimately 2 to 3 generations behind what everybody else is flying today. And I read a post somewhere online where someone said they actually enjoyed the Virgin America product better than the American airline product in business class, which was surprising to me. But they said they don't want to sleep. They just want to sit there. And because of that, they liked the sort of, fun, hip, whatever type of feel and vibe that they got flying on Virgin. It had nothing to do with the seat and had everything to do with the other bits. And I don't think there's enough business travelers that have that view of things.
Yeah. I guess myself and that person are on 2 different planets, but okay.
Yeah.
Just before we finish on Virgin, just a little comparison of the IPOs. Spirit slid 3.8% on their IPO day. Republic went up like 6%, and the big winner, JetBlue, was like 65% or something like that on their IPO days.
What year was Spirit's? Do you have that?
I don't. I know JetBlue was like 2002. I don't. Spirit was recently, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spirit, hang on. It was 2011. Spirit was in 2011.
Okay. I'm curious if there were sort of other economic sort of conditions that contributed to some of those numbers. But
well, what's interesting about Spirit, too, is that Spirit's IPO was $11. That was its price, right?
Yeah.
When it went public. It's now $76. So, I mean, that's a big change in 3.5 years. So they've done well. Spirit has.
Yeah.
It's because of the big seat. They have the big seat.
Yeah. Which is a good segue. I mean, we can talk about Spirit if you want, Seth. Starting a bunch of routes out of Houston.
Sure. Yeah. They are.
Look at that.
They're starting a whole lot of them. I mean,
7 new international routes, 3 new domestic routes, one of which is seasonal.
Yep.
Only one of the international routes is daily. Right. The others are all 2 to 3x weekly.
Yeah. And what's the? I mean, it looks like they're bringing more service to places where United has historically had a kind of a stranglehold on the routes and on the prices. Let me pull this up real quick. I'm looking for the Spirit.
Anything out of Houston is going to be a sort of monopoly route for United. But you got Managua, San Jose, Cabo, Cancun. You got the other 3. TLC, the other Mexico City airport.
Oh yeah, Toluca,
Something like it.
Toluca or something. Yeah.
I don't know, I'm doing it from memory, so I'm missing a couple. But
let's see here. I'm looking. Hold on one second. Sorry, I need our producer.
The routes. I have the routes.
Yeah, that's what we need, Mr. Producer.
Oh, sorry. BWI, Cancun, Los Cabos, Managua, Oakland, San Jose, San Pedro Sula, Honduras.
Oh yeah.
San Salvador, El Salvador. Toluca, Mexico City. I don't know why. Is it continue on to Mexico City? Or is that the other
Toluca
Mexico?
is the other Mexico City airport.
Oh, it's like London City, Mexico City.
Yeah, it's like 45.
And Tampa.
I mean,
Tampa.
those are all priced. Those are all fairly pricey markets out of Houston. As the jet goes by Rolo's place.
I'm sorry, I'm on the active runway. What can I say?
Yeah,
I have to be close enough in case I got to take off soon.
Yeah, and Toluca is definitely it's about a 45 minute to an hour drive west of Mexico City. It's actually in the city of Toluca.
Yeah.
But those are all fairly pricey markets out of Houston. The Oakland one is interesting.
Oakland's seasonal.
Oh, it's seasonal. Okay, that one is an interesting one because when United killed that, it was kind of like, so what?
The real interesting thing to me about these, and we just haven't seen it because they announced them but haven't actually loaded schedules that I've seen, is what are the connection options, right? This brings the total number of Spirit destinations out of Houston to somewhere over 20.
Yeah.
And so there's got to be some connecting traffic to make these routes work. Can't be all O&D out of Houston. And with this sort of not daily service and all the weird flight times that Spirit is known for, it'll be interesting to see if they can actually create feed and make that work. But having a second sort of LATAM hub in addition to Fort Lauderdale could work well for them. It's a growing market. Everybody's throwing capacity into that market right now.
Yep, and I know that they have a lot of flights out of DFW to Houston. Like they do kind of every couple of hours between the two. So I'm wondering if they're going to get some feed from there. And I know they do Chicago as well.
Minneapolis, Denver, San Diego. They've got a few. I mean, they've got a number of westernish cities that can feed this, right? Where it doesn't make sense to go all the way to Fort Lauderdale to try to go south.
Yep.
So they've actually sort of built the infrastructure and route network that could make this actually successful.
I'd like to see kind of the schedules as well, just from a planning side in Houston, simply because of the terminal setup and D, which is where I'm guessing they're going to have to bring their international flights into, because they're not, United's not going to give them space at E. I want to know how that's going to work, because at certain times of the day, pretty much every gate at D is taken. So I'd like to know how they're going to work that in. I mean, I guess knowing Spirit, it's going to be some ridiculous, 6:30 a.m. departure and who knows, a 5 a.m. arrival or something stupid.
Well, those yellow planes have to, they can only appear early in the morning, so they're not so bright.
Tint the windows of the terminal so the passengers are blind before boarding.
We would let you take off, but the sun is coming up, so you're going to have to wait.
Sorry, Spirit, we can't see if the runway is clear ahead of you. You're blinding us in the control tower.
A bright neon highlighter green.
Details.
I think it's good news for the Houston traveler, though. I will say that. I think we will see some market impacts on price.
I think so. Right. This is the as a customer anywhere, I always hope to see fares come down or be more reasonable. But in the past, Spirit has shown up in certain markets, and the legacies have looked at them and said, "Yeah, so what?" and not really tried to match fares.
Yeah.
Unlike Southwest, Virgin America, JetBlue, where there's generally a shift to immediately sort of match and play games, or play ball, I should say, Spirit doesn't always drive that reaction. I think Dallas, Boston is a good example. They came in there and sort of attacked AA a little bit, and American ignored it. Didn't do a damn thing with their fares. So you never know. And there's the part where everything comes with a fee. So, for a quick trip where you're fitting everything in your briefcase, which, clearly I'm good at, but you can get away with it. But when you start having to actually check a bag, which, travel to Central America often involves, particularly for leisure travelers, those low fares aren't quite as low as they once seemed.
No, I agree. I have had some interesting discussions with people who have taken Spirit out of Houston. I've always said, they're terrible. But I've talked to a few people who aren't frequent travelers, and they're like, I thought it was fine, which blows my mind.
It's a couple hours of vaguely uncomfortable arrangement, but if it's cheap enough, I'd do it.
Yeah, they were going to Chicago, and I guess the other option was to fly United, which was ridiculous in price.
Yeah.
And so they said, it's okay.
I'm looking at taking a coach trip to Istanbul because it's way cheaper and over the business class, and if I can get it and spend that $300 to $500 plus the extra points on another trip somewhere down the line.
Yep.
Sometimes I rationalize it that way.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and so hopefully this benefits people, even if it's not necessarily in a bunch of prices coming down all over the place, but at least giving people the option to pay for a cheaper flight on Spirit. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. If we can, I want to go back a couple weeks here. The last episode we recorded, we were talking about we were in London recording it under the departures path from City Airport, and so I hope everybody enjoyed the sounds of those planes as we recorded. I hope the episode was vaguely still coherent with that. But from there, we all went our separate ways, and Rollo, you had a bit of an adventure leaving, but then also sort of arriving at your next destination.
Yes, absolutely.
How'd that work out?
Adventure, it was quite. So after first, let's talk about the shuttle bus we took from the London Excel an Abu Dhabi company expedition location to the airport. Seth and I waited for the shuttle, and I could see Seth looking around, measuring the distance between.
I was getting a little impatient and a little anxious. Not anxious, but impatient. I don't like standing around.
So he's like, I think I'm going to walk. So we decided to walk from the London Excel to London City Airport, which is what, about a mile, you said? How far was it? Yeah, a mile and a half. So we took a nice walk. It was nice out. We stopped, took some pictures of planes, did not get arrested, even though the sign clearly states unauthorized users, unless you have a good excuse, you'll be prosecuted.
Yeah, even if you're unauthorized, if you can come up with a good excuse for being on the field, you can actually get away with it, according to the posted law.
What did they say, from the Air Master or something?
Yeah, it was quite an entertaining one. Maybe we'll find, if you send me that picture, I can put it in the show notes. That's a good one.
Okay, so back to my adventure. After we went through the London City and wherever, we went our separate ways, and I went to Frankfurt. And when I arrived, I took the train, like I usually do, and I stay at the Le Méridien right next to the train station. First of all, at the airport, I was advised that there was a train strike coming, so beware. Was my first thing. And also at the immigration, the German customs officer, he just got up in the middle of me trying to scan my passport, and I was like, "What's going on here?" He went and came back. I said, "Oh, is there a problem?" He's like, "I don't think so." He's like, "My computer says there's a problem. My colleague says it's okay, so it's okay." So.
Wow.
I said, okay, am I going to have a problem when I come back? He goes, I think it'll be okay. All right. So, yeah, I had already come from a long string of snafus, cancellations. So, this was just par for the course. I get to the hotel. I go to check in, and the front desk staff, I could see her face kind of just frazzled a little bit. And I'm like, oh, my God, what's going on now? So immediately I start looking in my phone for my email, like for my confirmation email. She's like, oh, do you have your confirmation? And as soon as she asked me that, I pulled it up and I showed it to her. And she was like, oh, wait, this is for tomorrow. I was like, oh, my God. I said, well, I'm here today. Is the hotel full? She's like, we are completely full. So, of course, she saw that I was platinum, and she said, hold on a second. She gets on the phone, calls around. She speaks German. She's on the phone asking somebody, or I guess her colleague next to her, and they're all just having a conference. She comes back and says, okay, we have good news. I found you a room, but it's very small. I said, okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Now, when she said that, I thought, okay, like they're just going to give me an upgrade or something like that. They give me the room, and when I walk to the room, it was on the first floor at the end of the hallway. I opened the door, and as soon as I opened the door, I pretty much hit the bathroom. It was the smallest room I've ever been in. I mean, literally, they had a single bed, but like a European single, so like smaller than a regular U.S. single bed. A desk which had a huge TV, but the TV took up the whole desk, so you couldn't put a laptop on your desk. And then the bathroom, it wasn't like a tub, it wasn't like a glass and it was just a square with like a plastic shower curtain, but you literally couldn't fit inside. Like I had problems showering. When I got out of the shower, I was still with soap because the water didn't hit me. It was very interesting. So then I ended up having to stay an extra day, and I called the front desk and told them, I need to stay one more day, but please tell me you have another room. So they're like, yeah, we'll move you. We'll send my colleague. When the guy showed up, one of the staff from downstairs, he's like, wait a minute, you stayed in this room last night? He's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't even know people could stay in this room. I just shook my head and I said, yeah, I booked the wrong room. And he was just like, yeah, that's a very small room you were in, sir. I'm so sorry to have your experience. So lesson to be learned, double check your dates when you check your reservation, because, there's no way I could complain about this because they were
They got you a room in the end.
They got me a room instead of me having to go somewhere else. And I took a quick look on Hotels.com, and I did find other rooms, but they were so expensive. I guess there was a couple of conferences going on, so they did take care of me. They found me a room, but honestly, I don't think anybody should be put in that room ever. It's more like a room if you get there and your room's not going to be ready, but they have something for you to wait in. I've had that in some Sheratons where they're like, oh, we have a day room for you to use.
Yeah, you can take a shower here and freshen up, but good God, we won't make you stay there.
Yeah. Well, even the shower part would be difficult. But take a nap. I'll take a nap.
Well, we always joke about you getting the closet.
Well, that was the whole time I was just laughing because it's the broom closet, and they literally got the broom closet.
I remember we all went to San Francisco. There was a bunch of us in San Francisco, and we got this huge room. I think we have pictures of what we said what your room would look like if you had gotten a room at that hotel, and it was like us in a closet. I got to find that picture. If we can find that picture, we'll
was
put
it
up.
San Fran or Prague?
It was San Fran. It was.
We got the broom closet in Prague, but we were.
Yeah, he did get the broom closet.
I think you pay a lot more for rooms than I do, and end up in some smaller ones than I've ever had.
At a Starwood property?
In general.
Yes.
Just gonna put that out there.
Oh, that's funny.
Like the boutique. It's like the boutique room. It's in my preference.
Broom closet, please.
Side note, there is some new setting now in SPG. I mean, I don't know how new it is, but where it asks you, like, as an SPG Platinum, if you want higher floor, bigger room, like what kind of upgrade would you prefer? Like better view, higher floor, best room available, like fastest room available, or largest room. So I immediately went in there and changed my setting to largest room. So the next hotel I went to, they're like, we see that you have your preference of largest room, so we gave you the largest possible room. They're like, the view's not so great. I'm like, thank you.
Nice. Yeah, I don't. I think that just gets ignored in my profile because I think all that stuff just gets. Like, I'd say I want a high floor, non-connecting. That's like my big thing. I just don't want connected rooms. I always get a connected room, and I always get like in the middle of the hotel, like not the highest floor, not the lowest floor, just right in the middle. So. I don't think they really read those for me, or they read them and they go, nah, not today.
Nice. So Asiana is back in the news following their crash at San Francisco last July. They've a penalty has been handed down by the regulators in South Korea, and it's a 45-day suspension of service
on just the San Francisco route,
just
right?
the San Francisco route, just that one route. And that's, I guess, in lieu of a financial penalty, but obviously, not operating that service will have significant costs to them. But it's, can you think of another example where something like this has happened before? Someone asked me about that the other day, and I couldn't come up with another, like, single route suspension. I know there's been, airlines who have been suspended from flying to Europe for safety issues in the past. But that
Pakistan. I think it was Air Pakistan.
There's been any number of them. But those were sort of wholesale, your airline can't come anywhere near us thing. And that was, from the other end. That'd be like San Francisco saying, you can't come here until you teach your pilots how to land the plane without hitting the seawall. In this case, it's Korea saying, we're not going to let you send your planes there.
Yeah, it's strange. I've never seen anything like this. I don't. Was there a ban on Korean? Because there at a time.
And I'm sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you. We should be very clear. This has been announced as the punishment, but it has been appealed, so it has not taken effect yet, and we don't know if and when it actually will. But
yeah. There was a time when Korean had they had 3 crashes in 2 years or something. Maybe it was the other way around. But I feel like they may have gotten a ban, but I don't know if it was for the specific routes. I'd have to do a little more research. But other than that, I can't think of a single instance of you can't fly between these 2 points.
Now, that may be totally wrong, but was Continental, didn't they say, that they were going to be banned from flying to Paris after the whole debacle? They said because it was their fault that the tire or whatever, debris, and then the Concorde crash. Was it the Concorde?
Yeah, it was the Concorde. It was the Continental DC-10 that had a unapproved piece of metal fall off, and then that burst the tire, and that shredded the tire, and it hit the fuel tank and then the engine, and then the plane blew up.
I feel like they were threatened with that. Like that was some sort of French threat. Like you're not going to be allowed to fly to Paris because of this.
And in theory, American, because of TWA, owed so much money in Israel that they never flew back to Tel Aviv. Right? That was always one of the stories of why American never served Tel Aviv. In the last 20 years because of TWA debts, but they're keeping it now with US Air, so clearly they don't think that's an issue anymore.
Yeah, I can't think of any other.
But it's interesting. And there's the theory behind it. At least one of the theories I've heard is that being told that they can't fly a specific route is such a loss of face that it's way worse than a financial fine within the sort of Korean culture. I'm just struggling to figure out how it's actually going to make the flight safer.
Yeah, it's not. That's the thing. You're punishing the airline financially. You're not. In that case, just why not just give them a fine? I don't understand the value in saying you just can't fly this route, because the people it hurts are the people who are trying to travel, right? Especially if they do this in the near future and people have already booked tickets, and now you've got to move those people onto other flights. There's not a lot of flights out of the West Coast to Seoul.
Okay.
Well, there's a decent number, but you're.
2 San Francisco and 1 LA?
1 LA, and then you have Seattle and Vancouver, I believe.
And I guess I hadn't thought of Korean also. I hadn't gotten to them yet. So
Yeah, and
Asiana's got a 380 to LA.
And a 777.
And a 777. They got 2 to LA?
Yep.
Okay, so then you've got San Francisco gets Singapore and United, right?
Oh, and I forgot about Thai. Thai flies LA, Seoul.
Okay, and then Korean also. So
Yep.
I mean, there's a decent amount, but there's flights they're saying. The stat I saw is that Asiana says the flights are 85% load factor, so that's a lot of passengers to move.
Yeah, exactly. And you need feed to all the other cities where you can get flights out of too.
Yeah,
so
it'll suck if it actually comes to pass. It'll be interesting to see.
Do you think the appeal will be successful, or do you think they'll actually have to go through with this?
I think there's a very real chance they don't get to fly.
I do too. I think the fact that the South Korean government has been so straightforward with wanting them to be banned for this period, I think speaks to how serious they are. I mean, it's like they're very irritated, and we're going to show you how irritated we are, regardless of what you appeal. Yeah,
there's also this follows. There was, I think, a ferry disaster earlier this year or late last year as well, where there was a significant sort of outrage and backlash, and people got upset, and the ferry company also got hit with a significant. Probably, this is one of the things where it's not necessarily a proportional response type of situation, right? The reactions have been a little more severe than in the past, and maybe this is just the government stepping up and being like, okay, but you haven't been paying enough attention, and clearly what we've been doing in the past wasn't a significant enough deterrent, so we're going to actually have to start playing, a little harder.
Yep, agreed.
What else? United has no creativity.
Bum, bum, bum.
I really want to go back and check because I know we talked about this in whatever episode Delta announced that they were going to up the PQD spending. I really want to go back and listen and see what we all said, if United would or not. I think I may have said I didn't think they would, and I got it wrong.
I think we may have all said that, or we all said it have hope.
Yeah, it's silly to me. I don't think they need to, but it also doesn't necessarily hurt them that much to do it. So, but yes, United has matched Delta's PQD, MQD, whatever requirements. It's up to $3,000 per 25,000 miles now from $2,500, 12 cents per mile.
Yeah, with the top tier being $12,000 for 1K, $12,000 for 1K.
Right.
Here's my thing. I don't care if that it's coming. That's fine. I understand why they're doing it. Whatever. I feel like you just said, it's uncreative. Is that a word? And it is. I found the email somewhat insulting and lazy. And I think it was insulting because it was lazy.
Yeah, and so I'm going to read a couple of the lines from this email. I have it up here, and I can't agree more. Right, it is preposterous to me. The first sort of big text: "Our best customers come first." Okay. Sure, we get it. Next line: "Customers who do more business with us should enjoy our best benefits."
Yeah, and
so
then
they're using an interesting way of do more business actually means spend more money.
Yep.
But hey, who's counting?
It's word chess that they're playing.
And they're doing it badly.
Yeah, but they're really playing checkers. I mean, that's how. That's what it feels like, right? I mean, I know it's harsh, but you're telling me that do more business with you, but it's not really what you want. It's spend more money, spend more cash. That's really what you want. It's not about our best customers in the sense of how much business I give you. It's about how much money I give you, and it's insulting to me to be lazy in how you address that with the customer. I'd rather you be upfront with me and say, look, we're trying to extend new benefits to our most profitable customers or our highest spender. I mean, I don't want to use one of these spenders, but something like that where I can say, look, we're trying to make our business better, our offering better for those who spend more money on their flights with us. Rather than do what they did.
Certainly everyone sort of hopes that that's the net result out of all this, right? That they get rid of the guys like me, and then start actually spending money again on providing better benefits. But
I have my doubts that that's going to happen.
Did you guys see the story? And I have to warn you, I apologize, this wasn't on our notes, but I'm just thinking it just came up about the potential for a major carrier to potentially rebrand their first-class domestic product as a premium product, like premium economy-ish sort of thing, and introduce international premium economy at the same time, branded the same way.
I saw this as I was getting off my United flight, and I thought, if it's United, I'm done. I saw it, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think it's United?
No.
I have a feeling it's Delta.
Yes.
And the reason I feel that way is because I think Delta doesn't see their domestic first as a true premium product on the same level as an international premium product. And
it isn't.
Well, yeah, but they want to distinguish that, I think. And maybe if they price it right, I could see it being successful.
The biggest challenge I see in that whole approach is if that also becomes a proper premium economy product, which right to date no U.S. carrier has done, and they've gone for just extra legroom instead. And as a customer, I'd be a little frustrated if they got rid of sort of economy plus on international flights or main cabin extra or economy comfort and only had premium economy just because of the price points. It's generally much more expensive to get at. But that would be frustrating. But the part where I really don't understand is if it's branded, and Delta actually also trademarked Delta Comfort, I think, or something like that. There was a filing that came out last week as well from the PTO. And so it's sort of this interesting scenario. Like if they're branding their premium economy product for international travel, same as they're branding their domestic premium product, sort of the best cabin on domestic. Can you sell a premium fare product and then would you end up having to give it away on the connector flights? I guess at that point, right? Like I bought, who knows where, pick a city, Houston to Amsterdam in premium economy. Does my Houston to Atlanta flight get me into first class now? Or the new rebranded premium, whatever we're calling it?
Yeah.
And that creates an interesting yield problem across the whole network. So I wonder about that.
But I think that if you look at any airline that has premium economy, the answer is no. Like you don't get, if you buy premium economy on British, you don't get intra-Europe. Yeah, you don't get intra.
Right, you don't get Eurobiz, but they call it a different name. The thing about this, and this is a report that we don't know what the airline is and we don't know how it's actually going to end up branded or anything. But
I didn't see the report though. Was it like on the wall somewhere? You read this, or where was somebody
on
online?
Runway Girl Network? Okay. Story. And I know the guy who wrote it, and I don't doubt that he's got real sources and that they've had these discussions. But I think there's a few weird bits, and one of the things he said though is that it's basically supposed to replace both domestic F and become a proper premium economy product. And I just wonder about that. Maybe something was misunderstood during the conversations or what. But there seems to be a weird sort of branding challenge where you might have to get rid of, if you're giving away, your domestic first class product to a lot more passengers. And maybe there's not enough of them buying those premium economy seats, but I feel like you ruin your yields.
Well, I mean, all they really need to do is install slim lines across the fleet in the domestic planes, and then just do what Europe does, and you just get the middle seat empty, and that'll make everybody happy. That was me being facetious.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. It's funny you mentioned that because when I did my BA flight the other day in Eurobiz, it's awful because the pitch is so small. Like I'm like, I don't even fit in this seat, and I'm in business class, and it was like a 2-hour flight.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to me to see how some of the airlines have priced their products. So, I bought a W fare earlier this year on United connecting to a Brussels Airlines flight, and I believe it actually priced into Q for the connector. And the Q fare on Brussels was actually like the next step up from regular economy, and was that they're just below their business class fare. And so I got a meal and everything. It was weird though because the people in front of me were in business. It was like the row in front of me was in business, and they got like an extra like little appetizer on their plate. And I'm like, what is going on? And my row
between business first and global first on United, you get a suit.
It just cracked me up that I didn't mean to buy this. I didn't even know until I checked in that I had this. And then my row was empty, so there was no one sitting behind me. But the guy, a friend of mine that was flying with us, was with me. He was miserable. He was in the back, and he said, "These seats are the worst things ever." And I was like, "Just wait, they're going to be on the United fleet soon."
They're similar to the NEK seats over there. Uniteds aren't quite that bad, but
yeah, it's So here's one question I have about this with this the true premium economy product. So I look at an airline like Turkish who announced that they're going to get rid of it, and that's been I think they're still in the process of doing this. And then you look at Lufthansa, who's doing the opposite and saying we're going to put premium economy on the planes.
Right.
We had all talked, I believe, a few episodes, maybe 6 months ago, a year ago, about premium economy and does it make sense as a true product long haul? And I think the general consensus among us is yes, we like the idea of a premium economy product because it's a middle ground between business and coach. But it's weird to see the airlines kind of in this confused state. One airline going away from it and the other airlines saying, "Oh, yes, we want to try it out."
Yeah, part of me says that's because Turkish's was way too nice. It really was. It was like
a business class product.
It was. They just took an old business class product and kept selling it. They didn't sort of downgrade it to be a 38-inch pitch, whatever.
Yep.
Right. It's 232 like 50-inch pitch in big ass recliners on the 777s. It's really a nice product.
Yep.
especially when you could buy up for $300 at the airport for a 14-hour transoceanic flight or whatever. So that's where I think, and they only had it on a handful of their planes. They never put it on the 330s or the 340s. They never really made a go of it and sort of figured out how to make it a solid product. Everybody else who's done it has committed to it much more significantly.
Yep.
So I think that's really where that comes in. But
okay.
I don't know. I think, like I said, I'd love to see a premium economy product from a U.S. carrier, but at the same time, and I think we're going to, right? The trend is, you want 3 different levels of service, and now that third level is a slightly wider seat, slightly nicer meal, slightly better recline. It's not coach, and it's not a flat bed in business class. And so we're going to see that. It just, frustrates me as a cheap-ass traveler because I can get, extra legroom for somewhere between free and $150 on a flight, and generally speaking, premium economy has a much higher premium.
Well, I don't think making domestic first, calling it premium comfort or whatever you're going to call it, I don't think that's the right move. I think you can differentiate the products by saying this is first class and you fly coach on domestic segments, and then you have the long hauls in premium economy. I don't understand the reasoning behind that. So hopefully it was a misunderstanding.
Yeah, I also don't understand why the U.S. carriers still insist on calling the offering they have in the front of their domestic cabins first class, but.
Yeah, I mean, what would you call it? Just business?
I don't know. I actually probably call it
mint.
Yeah, mint. I would probably call it a premium. I would say, premium seat, big front seat. I actually think, much as you may want to hate on Spirit, that's a good branding term.
Well, and it's true. I mean, I don't sit in first for the meal. I mean, it's not why I want to sit in first. I want to sit in first because I want more space.
Yeah.
So,
right. Virgin Atlantic did that a long time ago with upper class.
Yep. What do you think? So with these PQDs and stuff going up, do you really think it reduces the number of higher level elites in the airline?
Yes.
Okay.
By at least 2. Me and my wife, as my million-miler companion, will not be 1Ks next year.
But I mean,
so the answer is yes.
Unless someone else replaced us. No, I really think it does. I think that it's maybe not a huge number, but it does help the company control its liabilities and costs in certain margins of the business. Did you guys see the story in the New Yorker? The guy like, United, I didn't leave United left me, kind of rant about how he hates United now.
Yep.
And whatever, good on him and congrats on getting a piece in the New Yorker. But like, it was sort of this rambling rant of like, oh, I don't get upgrades anymore kind of thing. And it was like, okay, welcome to like, flying in 2014 where upgrades are harder in general because the airlines are trying to sell those seats.
Yep.
Maybe United is worse than the others, but like I can't imagine it's that much worse than the others in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
you fight for upgrades all the time, Steven, right?
I mean, I miss a lot. So I don't base my travel around that though.
Yeah,
that's
we've certainly had Foz talk about his misses on American or Delta. I mean, Rolly, you've missed some on American. You've told us,
right?
So I don't know. It's a weird sort of tone in general.
To me, that's not the big benefits of elite status. Like, to me, the removal of the changing of the PQM or the redeemable miles.
Oh yeah,
that's a big ding for me. And for the other piece for me is what's important to me as an elite is just service in general and rebooking options and when problems arise, because problems happen. That's what matters to me is, can I get on a different flight, or how are you prioritizing these things? And to me, that's more important than an upgrade. I'll take a middle seat in the back if it means I get home over an upgrade.
I'll quote you on that later.
Hey, I've been seated in the middle plenty. So
you and me both. One more story on the agenda here, and we're going decently long, but I'm going to talk about it anyways because it's cool. And then we'll get Rollo's rant and wrap up.
But just before we're done with the United thing, because I didn't get to say, like, if you guys talked about the email, and I looked for it, I couldn't find it, but I just don't like what they're doing. Is like they try to tell you, like, yeah, we want to offer you these benefits, then show me the benefits you're going to offer me, then raise the prices. Like, don't tell me you're going to offer these benefits, because in the end, what they never do. They just tell you they're going to, but you're never going to get anything. The miles went up. Now the PQDs went up. The structure to earn miles changed, so you're really not giving me any benefit, and I'm a high spend flyer. So it's just like I see that, and I'm just like, oh, okay, great. It's show me something.
Yeah, that's fair. Completely reasonable.
So that was a quick rant.
That's okay. We'll let you do the real rant in a minute. Last topic before we get to that. Last week, JetBlue for Veterans Day introduced a new special livery, and I actually got to be on the inaugural flight for it, which was a lot of fun. It's called Vets in Blue, and they painted a plane a solid sort of navyish blue and put a yellow ribbon on the tail. And as part of its inaugural flight, they took 100 or so veterans down to D.C. for the day from New York. And one of the really interesting things to me is I was sitting at the gate area in New York, and we're getting ready to go. They had a little press conference and whatnot, and people singing and all sorts of, put on a show, right? There were donuts and cupcakes and all sorts of stuff going on. And I'm sitting in the sort of by the window taking pictures of the plane and this and that, and I hear a couple guys next to me, some of the veterans talking. One of them's like, "Yeah, look at that! It says Vets in Blue on the nose." And one of them's like, "Yeah, they put a sticker on it, just to show us that they like us this week." And I sort of stopped and interjected into their conversation, like, "Actually, guys, if you look over there, that's what the planes normally look like. This one is painted all blue and has the yellow ribbon on the tail, and they put Vets in Blue is actually the name of the plane. Like, they painted it for you. It's not just a sticker." And the look on these two guys' faces when they realized that was sort of incredible. They were like shocked that sort of thing could happen. So it was interesting. It was really neat to see.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then
but they're still mad at you for showing them up.
Not that I can tell. Other interesting thing to note: if you ever want to get a really good tour of Washington D.C., I strongly recommend going with a large group of veterans. We didn't stop at a single red light the entire day. We had a park police escort, and they shut down traffic. It was a motorcade with 4 buses rolling through town. We didn't stop at a single red light. It was really cool. So,
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'm a fan. Anyways, Rollo, your rant.
It's time for the rant, sir. A quick pre-rant. You can now use American Express membership reward points to pay for McDonald's. Yeah,
that's right.
That's just shame on you. Like, seriously, that's not a benefit. Like, you shouldn't be promoting that.
Use them to pay for a New York City taxi or your Uber ride too.
Yeah, that's okay, but McDonald's, like, really?
So the taxi's okay, but McDonald's isn't?
It's better. Not okay. It's better.
Okay.
Like, McDonald's is where I draw the line.
Got it. Burger King would be acceptable? Wendy's?
No. Any of those fast foods. Like, that's it.
How about In-N-Out or Five Guys? I mean, is it?
No. Not even Shake Shack or anything.
Oh, I was going to say Shake Shack. Wow. Rollo's he's getting fancy on us.
But then again, I guess it doesn't surprise me because if you look at you could pretty much buy anything, like a golf club or a pen or something. So whatever. Or 5,000 points for a magazine from American Airlines.
Yeah. I think the reason they can do it at McDonald's is because they have the right point of sale system and it's easy integration. But anyway, sorry. Anyways,
my rant. So I'm going to read you a line, and you tell me what airline. You might know what it is. For the 4th year in a row, we are chosen the best airline in Europe, Skytrax. Which airline am I speaking about?
Since you've already made this rant to me and Stephen in person, we know the answer.
Now, I'm talking about Turkish, and I didn't realize for the 4th year in a row they've been chosen the best airline in Europe. So I don't know if my rant is against Skytrax or Turkish. But anyways, the reason that this... Yeah. It's now 2014 by the time you hear this episode. And I can't choose a seat on Turkish airline in business class. There's no way to do it online. If you call, they're like, call your travel agency, which in this case is Expedia, and Expedia says, well, only the airline could do it. And if you search Turkish's website, there's like a obscure link to a FAQ that says, oh, at the time of booking on TurkishAirline.com, you can select your seat in premium economy or business class. So unless you book with Turkish and you select at the time of booking, you cannot pick your seat on Turkish, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. And Skytrax should lose their ability to name them the best airline in Europe because you should be able to pick a seat. I'm sorry.
Well, especially when they have middle seats. In business, there's a middle seat. That's right. That is my biggest concern. I don't want to get stuck in the middle if I'm in business class. I've had that happen on once on United. I don't want to do it again. So, I mean, that is strange, and I kind of agree with you. Maybe they should.
And they have an app. They built an app. I mean, their website's great. It's like, come on. What could be the possible reason? I want to hear Seth. Maybe he has a take on this.
I wish you great success.
No, I'm saying what could be is there some technological reason that they can't do this?
It's bullshit.
Oh, okay, good.
I got nothing. I mean, I'm sure there is a reason, like, we built these things and we can't actually manage reservations online, right? I mean, to be fair, like, JetBlue had a long period of time where you couldn't do seat assignments online either after booking, but if you called in, they could fix it for you, I think. So, like, there's like an extra step involved in linking that second set of systems beyond just reviewing the reservation. But you're right, it's 2014 and you serve the most countries in the world. You're like an actual large real airline. Maybe it's time to pretend and, act like one.
But let's be fair though. So on United, if you buy a ticket that includes a Lufthansa segment or anybody really, Austrian, any of the European miles and more carriers, you can't pick a seat on that connection.
But
So
you
check
can
in.
call. You can go on their website and do it.
No,
United,
no, you can't even do that
Lufthansa
anymore.
stopped allowing that. Yeah, it has to do with limitation in their
Oh.
systems. If you don't have it, if it's not on Lufthansa stock, it won't let you pick seats or something like that, right?
Yeah, if it's not on Lufthansa stock, you can't pick a seat, which I think
But
is stupid.
I've booked a ward ticket on Lufthansa and was able to get a seat though.
Recently?
I think so. I mean, how soon? How?
This happened.
Midsummer?
Midsummer. I mean, I'll give you an example. When I took my grandfather to Munich, we tried to pick seats on the connections, the intra-European connections, and we couldn't. I had to call.
Business, or are you in coach?
I was in business. I called in, and they
coach,
couldn't do
you
it.
could never do it anyway.
Yeah, but in business class, and I called in, and then she's like, "Well, we can't really do that because it's Lufthansa stock. You have to do it when you check in." And I said, "What? Like that's just crazy to me that I'd have to wait." And especially since we were flying long haul, I couldn't pick seats on the long haul segments either.
That's weird.
Which is weird. But she said for sure the intra-European, I wouldn't be able to do that online. That's crazy. It's a limitation. You used to be able to do it just fine.
Seems like we're moving backwards in some sense.
Yeah, and to this day and age, to me, like it's amazing how good United's app and website generally are compared to some of the other carriers. I have to give them credit there.
Yeah, the website's struggled lately, but I agree in general.
Yeah, in general, I mean, I don't need flashy if it works.
Well,
So.
not having Flash generally means it works.
Oh,
Details.
Seth, you sarcastic one.
Anyways, on that note,
My next rant might be that I sat in the middle on like a 13-hour Turkish flight. So just a sneak preview.
So one other thing I just want to throw out there, shout out to one of our listeners who asked me the other day over drinks if this podcast was just an excuse for us to shoot the shit in the most random places we could possibly find together.
And the answer to that is yes.
Absolutely. We will be recording another episode in Seoul next week. So thanks for noticing. We appreciate that and appreciate you listening. On that note, you want to tell folks where they can find you, Rolo?
I am on Twitter at MundoSurfer, and I'm still on Tumblr at mundosurfer.tumblr.com.
Steven?
I'm Steven Seagraves. You can find me on badice.com, on Twitter at sseagraves.
Awesome. I am Seth Miller. I am, as of this week, now at WANDRME. I changed it to match my domain name, which is WANDR.me on Twitter and Instagram, and so I basically am misspelled still, but the same misspelling everywhere, so maybe it'll help. You can find the Dots, Lines, and Destinations podcast at DotLines on Twitter, Dots Lines, and more dots, more lines.com online. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.